breaking news, and it comes from Manchester United, who have reached an agreement in principle over a new 5-year contract. A deal is in the final stages of negotiation and set to be signed by the more lucrative offers from England and abroad.
Daniel Kahn joins us live. Dan, arguably, this is a team that's revitalised since Michael Carrick's arrival. So are they looking to do any business, do you think?
Yeah, good evening, Vicky. I think you said it there, and I think that's had quite a big impact on this January transfer window because, look, it has been a quiet deadline day. I think Tyrell Malacia was perhaps the closest player in this window to perhaps leaving. The club were in talks with another in Turkey, but I think after Patrick Dorgu's injury last weekend against Arsenal, United couldn't afford to let Malacia leave in this window. 6 months left of his contract, so perhaps in the summer he could leave as a free agent. But we went into this transfer window, Vicky, with doubts, question marks over a few players. Yes, Joshua Zirkzee, Emmanuel Ugarte, who aren't getting a lot of game time, but also even Kobbie Mainoo, let's not forget, who might have wanted to go and leave the club on loan perhaps to get more game time because he hadn't had a Premier League start until Amorim had actually left the club at the beginning of this window. So you feel like actually, in terms of ins and outs, the biggest change for Manchester United in the January transfer window was their head coach and the impact that then had on the squad. 3 weeks later, 3 big wins later, Kobbie Mainoo, for example, is now central to this Manchester United team. The change in system meant they didn't have to look at defence to bring in reinforcements there. You do think with no incomings in this window, they're keeping their powder dry for the summer to reshape and reinvest in that midfield. But you wonder for this last 6 months of the season, are they short in the midfield area? We saw Casemiro go off on the weekend, and after he did, they conceded a few more goals, and that has been the story of the season. That is the question mark for Michael Carrick and this team going into the last 6 months as they chase a Champions League place. But as was all expected, a quiet January transfer window for Manchester United, but all eyes on the summer about how they invest in the midfield and perhaps a few other positions as well.
Michael Carrick and Manchester United, how has he turned things around so quickly?
I mean, bringing maybe happiness back to the training ground. I mean, I was a big Ruben fan, so I'm not going to sit here and say, you know, when he got the job, I know all Manchester United fans, most, like 90% of us, were optimistic. We were like, this is the man, regardless of tactics, playing a back three and all that. Whatever Carrick has done, to me, in the space of 3 days when he got in there, Tom, right, I think the players have to look at themselves as well, because I've said this so many times. I played for so many managers. I didn't like the tactics, I didn't like the style of play, but you have to do your job. I'm talking the basics, like run, you know, put yourself about for the fans. What Michael Carrick has done in the space of 3 games, Ruben Amorim, it took him 1 year to win 3 games in a row. That bloke's nearly about to get his hair cut. You know what I mean?
I was going to ask you,
like,
what's he going to do?
Imagine we'll get to 4 games in it. But, like, all jokes aside, but, like, I know a lot of the...
Well, it could be at any minute, Mark, but there is a reason why Manchester United need to get this done. And, Emma, you've been surprised by the transfer fee as well, at £40 million. You think Manchester United are getting a real bargain?
Yeah, definitely. Really sensible incoming. It's definitely what Manchester United need. They need depth in their squad and also a very sensible price as well. This is someone really, probably Carvey said last night, an £80 million player, really. So very sensible price for Manchester United. And we've had loads of Manchester United fans tweeting this morning saying, announce. So we should be doing that soon on Sky Sports News, hopefully. But look, a really good upgrade on some of Manchester United's midfield options. And we know, you know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is looking for a rotation policy. They don't want to solely rely.
Very quickly, we'll just talk Manchester United very quickly, David. A quiet January, which I think we were expecting. But does it speak to what's predicted to be a crazy summer for United, both departures and arrivals?
Yeah, we say crazy. It often doesn't materialise to be as literal as that, but I do think there's a lot that they want to do. Most importantly, central midfield. And so that's why we are going to see continued links with the likes of Elliot Anderson, of Adam Wharton, of Carlos Baleba, and there will be others in the frame because that is such a critical position, especially now Casemiro has confirmed his departure. There's also intrigue around the left-sided attacking position because obviously they were in for Antoine Semenyo, didn't get him. They'll have Rashford and Sancho departing, so that's an existing aim for that part of the pitch. Will Harry Maguire be leaving the club? He's been so important, but this is his option year and he's due to leave, no news on a new contract, so central defence. will be an area of focus. So there's a number of positions there that Manchester United and whoever the new head coach is going to be, which is going to be one of the biggest stories of 2026, whether it be Michael Carrick or a fresh appointment altogether. And I think the early signs of Carrick have given Manchester United fans some hope, and people around Manchester United, despite it being very embryonic, that better times could be ahead. However, we have been here before, and actions speak louder than words.
Well, I was at Old Trafford yesterday and never did I think I'd be writing, these words this season. Manchester United are now 12 points off top.
Yep.
We're actually looking up the table rather than down. I was there earlier in the season and, parts of last season on the Ruben Amorim, and it felt like a stadium that were waiting for Manchester United to lose. Yesterday, it felt like a stadium that were waiting for them to win. Kevin scores the equaliser in the 91st minute, but never do you think it's over, and sure enough, that's how it played out.